Hey cruise fans, and welcome back to Ray and Sue's travel channel. We're on the beautiful Serenade of the Seas on our 16-night cruise from Fort Lauderdale through the Panama Canal to Los Angeles, California. Welcome to this part 2 of our passage through the Panama Canal, where we share with you the Middle Lake section and also the lock system on the Pacific side. Enjoy. So as we continue to sail the lake here in the Panama Canal, you can see some wonderful islands off the back of Serenade of the Seas. Here we're on the back of the Windjammer, and you can see lovely little islands and also the other container ships that are making their way down towards the canal itself. So that's a lovely cinematic view of the lake after we've exited the first part of the lock system here in the canal. And so as we navigate the lake, the big lake on the Panama Canal, of course there's a narrow channel here between the two sets of buoys either side, and you can see that international shipping has to cooperate very, very carefully in order to avoid any maritime accidents and impacts. And a container ship, or oil and gas or whatever it is, has just gone past, has just passed us in this narrow channel. Isn't that good? And then of course around the outside we have all these little islands, little archipelagos, small islands, uninhabited of course, that make up the area which is the lake here in Panama. Okay, so here we are now on deck 5 on the lovely Serenade of the Seas, and we are now travelling the lake on the Panama Canal, and we've got quite a bit of a rate going now in this narrow channel, but I just thought I'd give you a different perspective in terms of the scenery. Lots of little tiny forested islands, uninhabited of course, but as we make our way along you can see a few rain clouds in the sky, a little bit brighter over here, and we're making good progress across the lake. Of course we're on the side of the lovely Serenade of the Seas, fresh out of her refurbishment, and the ship is in good condition. She was only in for about a month, and I think they did rather a lot of maintenance works on engines and systems, changed a lot of carpet, just an FYI. But as we walk down the little walkway here on deck 5, again we walk past some of the little islands that are here in the Panama Canal. And as we continue our passage through the Great Lake on the Panama Canal, you can see here on the port side now a village, and this is predominantly made up of residents who are involved in the maintenance of the canal itself, and has been here for many years, and is used as the basis for getting access to both ends of the canal as and when appropriate. And as we continue still further, we can see some rather large cranes and dredges and piles that were used and are still used to maintain and construct different areas on the Panama Canal. Okay, so we're about midpoint along the Panama Canal now, and we've just gone under one of these wonderful expansion bridges linking both sides of this cut, which is the Panama Canal. And the sun is out for us now this afternoon, and it's a lovely view, across the bow of the ship, but also down towards some of the locks that are on the Pacific side. of the canal, the other side of these rivers and cuts and the lake that I've showed you previously. So we hope you're enjoying the video so far, and of course we'll continue to share some of this. Now it may be in two parts because there's a lot of footage to share with you, so this may well be part 2. So if that's the case, welcome back to part 2 of our Panama Canal transit on the lovely cruise ship that we're on, and part of our 16-day cruise between Fort Lauderdale and Los Angeles, California. So hence our little trip down the Panama Canal, and it's our first time here. We've never done the Panama Canal before, so we're really pleased to be able to see it finally and bring it to you. Stay tuned. Okay, so welcome back now. So we're on the bow of the ship now, and we are just approaching the first of 3 locks that will bring us down now to sea level on the Pacific side. And you can see here the canal splits into 2. On the right hand side is the wider section for those ships that are Panamax ships with a wider beam, and on the left hand side, which is the one that we're going down, for slightly narrower ships. And Serenade of the Seas is not as wide, not wider than what these locks can take, so we're going to be going through those locks. Now this one here is a single lock, and we should drop down a fairly significant depth, even to the extent where if we look to the right hand side after we've gone through the lock, we'll be able to see that other ships that have gone down the Panamax side will be significantly higher than us. So just FYI, if you have a slightly narrower beam of ship, less than 120 feet, you can go down the left hand side here. So as we continue to work our way towards the lock itself, we'll continue to share with you, so stay tuned. And so as we approach this first lock then on the Pacific side, we will go down just through one lock, and then a little later on there'll be another couple of locks that we will go through together to bring us back down to sea level, and on our way into the Pacific Ocean. So we got a bit closer to the first lock here now. So this is the first of 3 locks that we'll go through to get to the Pacific side, and this is just a single lock that will drop us down a fair distance, and then there's a pair of locks that we'll go through a little bit further on after a little lake. So we're approaching this now, and again you'll see the mules and the various pieces of kit and equipment that we saw on the first set of lakes. It's less busy here, which is a good thing, because there is that split, as I say, between the 2 channels. And we'll attach ourselves to the mules and then start making our way into the lock, and then the process to descend down to the next level. And so if you see just down below, just in front of the bow now, there is a small boat that has started to make its way towards the bow, and that will pick up a line that they will subsequently use, larger and larger lines to attach to the first mule in order to be able to secure the bow before it goes into the lock. So that remains a very much manual process, and it's very interesting to see that happen right in front of you. And so as we get ever closer to the lock itself, you can see the mules all standing ready and a weight, a line to secure our position as we get into the lock itself. That's really great feat of water and mechanical and electrical engineering. Okay, so a little bit closer view now here from deck 5 of the electric mules on their tracking system, and Serenade is just pulling into the lock itself on its port side, and will shortly be connected by a variety of different lines alongside the ship, and that will help assist maintain the 2-foot gap on both sides of the lock itself. And if we take a look into the stern of the ship, we can see again there are some mules there that will provide some assistance with that, and of course spare electrical mules, of course, in case of breakdowns and such like. So isn't that really useful? A fantastic feat of water, structural and mechanical and electrical engineering all combining to provide this wonderful passage system through the locks and to varying water levels between the Caribbean and Pacific side. And a closer look at the electrical mules, which are quite old and actually designed by General Electric many decades ago. And you can see on the left hand side another ship is going to be utilising the lock system as well. And here we can see one of the electric mules in operation, attached to the side of the ship, maintaining that 2-foot space on the port and starboard sides. A fantastic feat of engineering. And again, the layout was very, very similar to what we saw on the first set of locks on the Caribbean side. And trusted engineering that's been here for many decades. And you'll see the mules now start to descend down the ramp, controlled by the cog system built into them, so they're able to disconnect at an appropriate point and also guide the ship to its lowest level. And some of the mules returning from the previous trip through the lock. Of course, here on the canal on the Pacific side, the locks are actually broken up into a single lock that we shared with you a little bit earlier, and now this is a double lock which will get us down to sea level and will enable us to go to the open sea. And you can see the mules on both sides of the canal doing their job in terms of ensuring the ship stays within the 110 feet space available, and completely automated and unmanned, and a very, very good electrical mule system to ensure the ship and the safety of the users on the Panama Canal complex itself. stay safe. So how good is that? And over on the right hand side, of course, all of the offices and all the control systems that are in place, and employee car parks and such like, and even a viewing platform for visitors to the canal itself. So that's quite good. And of course, all of this in the beautiful countryside that you can see around. And if we look all the way back to the bridge in the centre of the shop now, and in the distance, you can see that that's that cut out for the bridge is part of the sort of main backbone of the country in terms of its geography. A whole bunch of large hills, small mountains that needed to be navigated through, and so a big cut was made initially by the French, but then finished off by the creators of the Panama Canal to allow flooding of the area and also transit by Panamax sized ships. And down below you can see another set of lock gates, which no doubt will start to close shortly. And will allow us to go still lower down to sea level, so in order for us to be able to return to the open sea. And so you can see here now the mules have stopped operating on their tracks, and we'll slow the ship, and then the doors will close, and then we will drop down still further down to sea level. And that in one shot is the essence of the Panama Canal, enabling ocean to ocean transit of large ships through open water and staged water level increases or decreases at either end. How good is that? Okay, and so the mules have done their job and have escorted the ship into the lower portion of this two pool lock, and now the doors on the lock are now closing, and we will wait until they're completely sealed, and then we will descend still further. So, isn't it good? So the gates on the lock are getting close to being completely closed, and then we'll start the next descent in height down to sea level. There we are, and so the gates are almost closed now, enabling the mules to carry us a little bit further into the section, and for that now to allow us to descend still further to sea level. Okay, and so you may be able to make out now that we are starting to descend again. Very, very subtle changes in the height of the ship, and probably a best way to see it is to just judge the location of the ship versus the mule, which is on the right hand side here. you'll see that we are descending, and you'll see that the gates on the lock itself are getting higher. Isn't that good? So there we have it. Here's our video through our passage through the Panama Canal, and we'll show you our departure and our arrival back into the Pacific Ocean in due course. Stay tuned. And another little shot of the control area here on the second dock on the Pacific side on the Panama Canal. As you can see there, the mules continue to do their jobs in terms of spacing the ship as she lowers in the last part of the lock itself. So we hope that's been useful for you in terms of perhaps getting into a little bit more technical detail than we would normally on our cruise content. So we hope that that's been enjoyable so far. Stay tuned. And of course the mule's doing a great job now of keeping the balance of the ship as she starts to move off on the lower level, and they will extend their cables out as long as they need to, and then probably follow the ship down the slope. So isn't that great? There they go, they're starting to move now, and they will come down the slope as the ship proceeds off on the lower level of the lock itself. So there you go now. The mules are going to descend down their slopes and continue to do the job of maintaining the distance for the ship between the two walls of the lock itself. Now just a final view of the depth that we have descended on that last part of the lock itself, and the sheer magnitude of the lock doors and the buildings around it. Now the queue of mules that have been utilised in navigating this wonderful ship through the lock system. Okay, so we hope that's been useful for you. That has been the Panama Canal transit on day 6 of our 16-day cruise on beautiful Serenade of the Seas. If you have any comments or any questions you'd like to ask, then please do put them down below this video and we'll do our very best to answer them. This has been Ray and Sue's Travel Channel. This has been the Panama Transit Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in the next Tips for Travellers video. Bye bye. So we hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you'd like to see more, then check out our channel, Ray and Sue's Travel Channel, where you'll find a multitude of different videos covering ship tours, port tours, and offering up tips and advice. You'll also find individual playlists where you can centre in on a specific ship or a specific itinerary. And consider liking and subscribing to Ray and Sue's Travel Channel. It's free, and there's not a lot free these days, is there? Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye.